Churchill said that democratic system is the worst system in the world, but then there is no other better system.
Say that again.
Democratic system is the worst system.
Worst political system.
Worst
democracy.
political system in the world.
Yeah.
But then there is no better system.
But there's no better system. Okay? So in the same vein, try to understand that what we're proposing, Prabhupada said, self-sufficient communities, which are economically self-sufficient, so that we don't have to interact with that material society. We don't have to buy into that system, such that we're just waiting for the drops to come down from that 1% who have all the wealth. And we're all just looking for a little prasad, some little prasad scraps, for that to come our way. That's what the system is. If you look, all the economics, all the, where people, the entrepreneurs, when they start a business, what do? They figure out how to sell something, how to make something, how to teach something, so I can squeeze something from the 1%. Otherwise there's no business. There's no success. So, that doesn't sound practical. Who can do that? How could anybody think such a thing? But then I ask you, which is worse? Which is less practical? To just become totally transcendental right now and not be affected? Show me. I challenge you. One person who can do that. Besides someone like Prabhupada. Or just be so powerful in our preaching that the whole world becomes God conscious. And everyone becomes a good sangha. That's not practical either. So which is least practical? So that was Prabhupada's solution. Now, I want to read something from a disciple of Prabhupada who has been living in Thailand for several years. He's an American man who married a girl from Thailand. And he sent one letter to the Prabhupada Disciples Conference. I'm going to have to try this myself. Okay. First of all, I'll read this one from another devotee. His name is Daneshwar.
He came here last year.
Some of you met him?
Yeah, I took him to Goshala even.
Raju, I'm sending this to you right now. So you're on?
Maharaj, you can copy to me as well.
Raju will help me read it.
I'm on.
Are you on?
You sent an email?
I just sent it to you.
You want to get the email from Ganesh Prabhu at the bottom?
Did you get it?
I have.
Okay. If you could read down halfway, it says, Dear Bojadev Prabhu.
I have.
Or actually right above that, where it says Bojadev Prabhu wrote. You see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Most of us. Could you start reading most of us?
Okay. Most of us are approaching or have passed the 40-year mark of being devotees, which makes me reflect why we as a society or as individuals have not come further along in our spiritual development. We are incredibly fortunate to have Srila Prabhupada as our Guru. So what is it that keeps us from being more ecstatically engaged in steady devotional service at home or in a temple with all the auspicious Vaishnava qualities shining through our character and in all of our dealings?
Okay, Dinesh for his response.
Dear Vajradeva Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams, there are several reasons that I can suggest an answer to this question. They come from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Chaitanya Sikshamrita. There he writes that every devotee must examine their lives and see how they progress, and if they see little progress, they must scrutinizingly look to see where they are making offenses and not following the process properly. He also states that.
So the devotee is asking, many of us have been practicing doing sadhana for 40 years plus. Why we're not reaching perfection? Another devotee is answering. Quoting from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who is the guru of our guru, Srila Prabhupada. That one reason is aparad. We make offenses to other sadhakas, to other Vaishnavas, other saints. Then it uproots the bhakti lata, creeper. Another one is that we're not practicing strictly enough. Too much compromise. And now he's going to give the third reason that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving. Okay, you can continue.
He also states that if our association with materialistic people is the same or greater than our association with the Lord's devotees, we will not advance.
You say that again?
He also states that if our association with materialistic people is the same or greater than our association with the Lord's devotees, we will not advance.
Everyone hear that? So I ask you, if you want to heat up a cup of tea, herbal tea, we don't drink the other kind of tea, herbal tea, and the water is cold from the sink. So how do you make it hot? You put it on the stove, and you make the water associate with the heat in the stove. And then the heat is transferred into that water. And likewise, if you want to cool something, then you put it in the refrigerator. So this principle of association, sangha, that whatever anything associates with, it either influences it or becomes influenced by it. Okay? So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, again one more time.
He also states that if our association with materialistic people is the same or greater than our association with Lord's devotees, we will not advance.
So this is the problem here. We want to make some advancement spiritually, but all of our association, 99% of it, is with those who have no such desire. So how we can advance? 99% on this side, 1% on this side. Maybe one day a month, one day a week if we're lucky, we'll go to the temple and see the deity of darshan, artik. And the rest of the time, all those other hours, the whole week, how is it possible? that we will not be affected by that association. Okay?
Therefore, we will remain Kanishtas. We will remain Kanishtas. Therefore, Rupa Goswami instructs us in Upadesamrita twice in the list of things both favorable and unfavorable for the devotional service, to avoid non-devotee association and carefully only associate with the Lord's devotees. Keep reading. This goes along with the admonishment we receive twice in the Gita and numerous times in Bhagavatam, that those who are serious about making progress in Krishna consciousness should live in a secluded place.
Oh, now he really dropped the bomb. Krishna's telling Arjuna how to practice this Dhyan Yoga. Chapter 6 and chapter 5 also. Go to a secluded place. Okay. How? Who's going to do that? Where do we go? Well, you take your whole family with you. You take your relatives. You take your house. You take your car. How's it possible? So now we're really getting crazy. Go to a secluded place. So what does it mean? Okay.
The problem is that we have not created an economic alternative based on land and cow in the villages, i.e., the very secluded these days. And we therefore must stay in cities engaged in various kinds of work to make money, which forces us to associate with materialistic people.
Okay, read that again, please.
The problem is that we have not created an economic and alternative based on the land and cow principle, land and cow. And we therefore must stay in the cities engaged in various kinds of work to make money, which forces us to associate with materialistic people.
Okay. So we'll just try to outline this again. The major, first of all, human life is a loophole. Tata Brahma Jigyasa, to inquire into the absolute. Why am I suffering? If you don't think you're suffering, just wait a few days or a few years. It'll happen, for sure. How can I stop that suffering? Meaning, not come back here again in this life. Krishna says, think of me when you die. How am I going to think about Krishna when I die? When I can't even think of Krishna now. 99.9% of the time. Even if I'm engaged in sadhana, I'm chanting, I'm reading Gita, I'm doing some puja, still, my mind is always diverted by so many things. How am I going to make some advancement? So, we're taught, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught, everyone is taught, that to make advancement in bhakti, at least, especially in bhakti, Sangha is number one prescription. We have to associate with those who are more advanced than us, so that we become inspired and strengthened and maybe in the beginning embarrassed. That's the first step, because we become so jaded in a materialistic culture. We become so jaded that we don't even realize, we don't even understand how bad off we are. It's like sometimes people question, even when they're practicing yoga. I was just reading one book by my godbrother about yoga and vegetarianism. And so many people are practicing yoga in America today. But most of them are not vegetarian. So, one person was saying, why should I be vegetarian? And the teacher was saying, try being vegetarian for a while. And then you'll understand. Because of your ingesting food in Tamabun, you cannot even understand my teaching. This teacher was saying. You have no qualification. But if you just try to change your habits for a few days, no one will need to teach you. You'll see the difference immediately. What a difference in consciousness is, according to the difference of food I'm putting in my body. So, our association with the culture is such that we don't even recognize how it's dragging us down. So, we need that good association. But the problem is, as he's saying here, we need to keep body and soul together. We're raising families. We have to work. And we have to work in that culture. So we have to compromise like anything, day in and day out, in order to make that money, to raise our families, to have us send the kids to school and all those other things. There's no way out unless there is some other type of means to get our necessities of life in the association of those who are like-minded. To some degree, the Mormons have done that, to a small degree, where they help to make facility for their own in starting of businesses, etc. But the businesses are all tied to the whole system, you know. And it's all owned and controlled by the 1%. Or not even the 1%, just 1% of 1%, who are pulling all the strings. And everybody else is working for them and compromising. So these protesters, they can protest all they want and set up their camp. But the same people are supporting that same system. The only solution for those protesters is to pull the plug on those guys. Show them that you don't need them. And how? By getting our necessities from where they're, directly from where they're coming from. And this is not going to be easy either. Because the whole thing is so controlled these days by these people that it's almost impossible for people to get the land and the resources even to get started. But it's not impossible. God, Krishna can make anything possible if we have the determination and the focus that there isn't any other alternative. And if you study, there are many people who are not even on the spiritual path who recognize this, who will join with us So this is a very, very deep issue, and it sounds totally impractical, almost impossible, but there isn't any other alternative. It'll take a miracle. But miracles always happen. Krishna is always willing to come and help us to make miracles. When Jesus came, he performed so many miracles. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, so many miracles he was performing. When Krishna came 5,000 years ago, he performed so many miracles. Every day he killed a demon, an asura that could have conquered the whole world on behalf of Kamsa. So it's not impossible, but we have to show Krishna that we're dedicated towards fulfilling that. Mm-hmm. So, did you finish?
No, not yet.
Okay. You can go on. Read that last statement again, okay? No problem?
Read one more time, huh?
Yes. The problem is that?
The problem is that we have not created an economic alternative based on land and cow. And we therefore must stay in the cities, engaged in various kinds of work to make money, which forces us to associate with materialistic people.
Go on.
This is why the need for developing village communities is so great, to allow us to be free of unwanted association, so that we can make rapid progress in our devotional service.
Carry on.
Most devotees cannot create those circumstances by themselves. They are dependent upon the leaders, those with actual Brahminical and Kshatriya nature, to establish such communities.
So that was Daneshwar Prabhu, who was actually trying to practice what he's preaching up there in the snows in Ukraine. He's connected with a couple of communities there, which they have a little village, and they're trying to work towards self-sufficiency. So he's actually trying to